Oh, right, it's not the other three we have.
Right.
Oh, no, for this. That, Banks, and Pizza.
Like on a break?
Banks, Pizza Parlors, and Senior Center.
Okay. He said we're all set, Ken. Okay? Good?
All right, David.
All right, then.
This side is very heavy.
Welcome to the June 4th, 2015 meeting of the Hillsborough Township Planning Board. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting has been duly advertised according to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, the Sunshine Law. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Dr. Maruli?
Here.
Mr. Berninger?
Present.
Mr. Peason?
Here.
Mr. Lapani?
Here.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes, here.
Chairman Delcourt?
Here.
And Chairman Dr. Cerisi.
Here. Disposition of resolutions. The first resolution up is the Douglas Van Nuys, which is Hillsborough Farm.
The eligible members, Mr. Chairman, are Mr. Cohen, Mr. Merdinger, Dr. Maruli, Mr. Peason, and Mr. Lapani.
So moved. Second.
Any comments? Roll call.
Mr. Merdinger?
Yes.
Dr. Maruli?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Peason?
Yes.
Mr. Lapani?
Yes.
And Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes.
Okay. Next up, the amended preliminary for MAAC Development Group, Inc. on Hillsborough Road and the extension of Shelburne Place.
Same members, Mr. Chairman.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call, please.
Dr. Maruli?
Yes.
Mr. Merdinger?
Yes.
Mr. Peason?
Yes.
Mr. Lapani?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And the, love those ringtones. Those, the amended final of the MAAC Development Group, Inc. Resolution.
Same members, Mr. Chairman.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Maruli?
Yes.
Mr. Merdinger?
Yes.
Mr. Peason?
Yes.
Mr. Lapani?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes.
So next item is that Chrismic Associates LLC, file 14 PB 21 MSR, is requesting extension of time through September 30th.
That's the 11th.
No, they're requesting extension through September the 30th. I don't know when they're scheduled. They may be scheduled sooner than that.
Scheduled for the
They were scheduled for
the
next
11th.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're scheduled for next week, but I guess the extension would be in case they need more meetings to get it all done or whatever.
It's like they're scheduled to
Right,
adjourn
so
again.
it's-
Michael, you want to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
that's also my application.
Okay.
We're waiting for DOT approval for a turnaround before, the board has indicated that they want to see that before the application proceeds. So we still are a few months away. DOT doesn't have time restraints like a municipal land use board does. So we have to, we're expecting a decision in July or August.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, so I guess we need a motion to grant the extension.
I'll move that.
Second?
Roll call?
Yes. Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Dr. Maruli?
Yes.
Mr. Merdinger?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Peason?
Yes.
Mr. Lapani?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes.
Chairman Delcourt?
Yes.
And Chairman Dr. Cerisi.
Yes. Is there anyone with business from the floor for items not on the agenda, the senior housing development thing being on the agenda? Okay, then we will proceed to the public hearing. We'll first announce that Richmond Properties is adjourned to July 9th with renotice. correct?
Yes.
That's application 15 PB07MJV, Block 182, Lots 2 and 2.01 for Sunnymead Road and Falcon Road. So that's adjourned to the July 9th with renotice. So the application for tonight is Senior Housing Development LLC, 15 PB08SR, Block 182, Lot 37, 351 Route 206. Applicant seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval with waivers for parking, stream corridor encroachment, economic hardship, and from submitting a community impact statement for permission to demolish existing structures and construct a 57,157 square foot, two-story, 112-bed extended care facility with parking and improvements on property in the highway service zone within the the architectural standards design overlay zone. Counselor?
No, I'm sorry. I checked with Bill first, and I said, "Don't show that they expect that."
Good evening.
It is hard to awaken those casualties.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Mike Ogrodnik. I'm an attorney at Morrow, Savo, Camerino, Grant, and Chalk. I am here on behalf of my applicant today, Senior Housing Development LLC. We have 2 to 4 witnesses tonight, depending on the board's inquiry. We have Mike Ford, who acts as our professional engineer from Van Cleef Engineering here in Hillsborough. We also have Scott Kennel, who is our traffic consultant, and Stephen Humphreys, who's our architect, as well as Glenn Kaplan, who is the principal of the developer. We've submitted notice and publication affidavits consistent with municipal land use law to the board secretary in anticipation of our hearing. As indicated by the chairman, this is a proposition for an extended care living facility consisting of 58 units. It's a 2-story structure located on Route 206 North. The proposal is for 112 beds and related parking. There's broken down as a memory care wing, which is 10 companion suites totaling 24 beds, and a proposed assisted living area, which is 43 companion suites and 2 studios for a total of 88 assisted beds. Importantly, this application contains no variances. Property is, as you are aware of its location, it's 8.946 acres, otherwise known as Block 182, Lot 37. It's a permitted use in the Highway Service Zone District. We are requesting, although there's no variances, we are requesting design waivers. Those design waivers are as follows. Providing a 25-foot two-way aisle versus the township's ordinance requirement of a 30-foot two-way aisle. And secondly, for undersized parking, we're proposing 10 by 18 parking spaces as opposed to the ordinance requirement of 10 by 20. Unless there are any legal questions, I would ask that the board, Mr. Bernstein, swear in all 4 witnesses, and we can proceed to Mike Ford's testimony on the site plan.
Sure.
Just for the record, we're going to let the person who's been swearing at people for the last 15 years, and I've been here, Lucille, so if you want to swear them all in.
Yes.
I think maybe you got a promotion.
I'm not so sure I want it.
Can we just do one at a time? Is that okay? Do we have to do it before?
Just do it one at a time. Mike, it's Mike.
It's on already, he says.
It's on. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. State your full name, please.
Michael Ford, F-O-R-D, with Van Cleef Engineering.
Thank you. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And state your name, please.
Stephen Humphreys from EGA Architects.
Scott Kennel, Kennel, with McDonough and Ray Associates.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I swear in the attorney.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name, please.
Glenn Kaplan?
Thanks.
Did you mark those exhibits, A1 through A3?
Hold on. You got it?
I think we got the air conditioning working, Steve. It's colder in here than it was out there. I know. You can't win. Steve, you want to go check the thing? I'm not going anywhere near it, and you'll blame me for the whole thing. Yeah. All right, I'll go. David. No. Thank you. Oh, okay, good. James got it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay.
Forward, David.
I feel like I just got.
All right. Good evening. I'll first describe the three exhibits that we just marked from left to right, A1 through A3. The left exhibit is an illustration of the existing conditions. It's one of the plan sheets in the site plan set, and this is colorized for this evening's meeting. That's A1 on the left. A2 in the middle is the site plan with the landscaping illustrated in color. And that is very similar to A3, the right-hand rendering, but for the right hand rendering shows the future conditions with the realignment of Route 206. This site is located just north of the intersection of Route 206 and Old Somerville Road, and also is just north of where the northerly terminus of the bypass would intersect with Route 206, just right around where the firehouse is. And the future conditions on the right, the frontage of this property, the alignment of Route 206 would be softened with a curve, pulling Route 206 further away from the property, that is to the west or the bottom of the page, and dual lane north and southbound with a concrete median in the middle, similar to the northern section of Route 206 by Duke's Farm, which has been completed some years ago. Therefore, in the future, site access to this property would be limited to a right turn in, right turn out only. As is stated, it's an 8.7 acre parcel of land in the Highway Service District. It would be serviced by both public water and sewer. The parcel in its existing condition has a tributary to the Royce Brook along the northerly boundary. And just north of this property, you can see on the renderings is Doctor's Way in the existing building between Doctor's Way and the stream that traverses the property. That stream carries with it wetlands, floodplains, those critical areas, which will not be disturbed but for the outlet structure of the detention basin, and we would be creating a conservation easement around those areas. And I would then call your attention to the first rendering on the left. The existing dwelling and detached garage are very close and within those critical areas today. The detached garage, you can see, is literally on top of the stream bank. The existing dwelling, garage, driveway would all be removed as part of this application, and those areas that were previously disturbed would be reforested or revegetated. Time's up. Okay? Thank you. The proposed use is permitted use within the zone. Other permitted uses on or in the highway service district would be restaurants, fiduciary facilities like banks, medical or offices, and veterinarian clinics. This is an extended care facilities, as Mr. Ogrodnik mentioned in the introduction of the application. Okay. Easy enough. Thank you. There's proposed one driveway to access the site. The new driveway location would be just south of where the existing driveway location is, and that would place it beyond any floodplains and the DNR Canal Commission stream buffer. We have submitted an application to NJDOT for our access permit. As you know, the Route 206 accesses are under the jurisdiction of NJDOT. There is another, I guess, point of access for emergency only proposed on the site south of the building, and that was proposed in consultation with your fire official, Chris Wardinger. Rather than loop the fire road around the building and then come back to the main access driveway, he would prefer a secondary access, and that would be not a paved access, but a access that wouldn't invite anything other than for emergency access and be suitable for emergency vehicles. And that would circulate around the rear of the building or the south side of the building. There is parking proposed along the driveway as you enter the facility near the main entrance, which is directly in front of the U-shaped driveway. You'll see, I'll say, in the nook or the indentation of the building. That would be our main driveway or main access. And then there is a parking lot to the rear of the building or the east side of the building. We meet all the criteria for required parking. As was stated earlier, we are requesting a design waiver for the parking stall size as well as the access driveway, which is, I'm sure you've heard on many other applications that I've represented, is common, helps us reduce the impervious cover while still providing for safe and adequate access to the parking facilities. There was a suggestion, and I'll go through the review memos that we've received in detail, but as I go through the testimony, I'd like to describe some of the comments we've received and some changes we're willing to, or the applicant would do as part of any condition of approval. There was a suggestion that the parking along the access driveway that's between the front of the building and Route 206. There's about a half a dozen spaces there on the right-hand side and another 8 or so on the left-hand side. Mm-hmm. About 8 or 9 of those are within that area between the front of the building and the highway. It was suggested they be relocated to an alternate location on the site, and we would do that. We've reviewed the site plan, and there's an opportunity to remove or move about 8 or 9 spaces from that location to an area along the left-hand side of the access driveway near the detention basin with no net change in the impervious coverage. That same impervious area would be directed to the stormwater management facility on the site. And that, let me discuss that at this point. At the rear left-hand corner of the developed area, and as I stated earlier, it's 8.7 acres of property. There's only about 4 acres, or less than half of the property, that will be disturbed by this application. The area that's existing woods around the stream, as well as portions of the wooded area that are within the, or existing wooded area that are within a 75-foot buffer setback along the perimeter of the property, are not to be disturbed. The detention basin is beyond the rear parking area. It would be an infiltration basin. We've submitted an application to the DNR Canal Commission, and part of our application requirements will be a submittal to NJDEP for the discharge from that detention basin, which is our only disturbance within the floodplain. Any questions so far? Okay. How about if I go into the memos at this point? We get into some of the comments we've received. Okay. First, we did make a visit to your Environmental Commission and received a review memo from the Environmental Commission, which includes a statement that the Commission has no issues related to this application. That's dated May 26, 2015. We also received a review memorandum from Chris Wardinger. It's dated May 6, 2015. Contains 4 bullet points, and we'd agree to all those suggested changes to the plan as a condition of approval. We've also received a May 14th, 2015 memorandum from your planner. There's 7 pages. In it are outlined the bulk standards. And as we described in our introduction of the application, we meet all the bulk standards and there are no variances required for this application. There are 4 design waivers. I've already discussed 2 of those related to parking. The third is related to the township's stream corridor, which is actually more restrictive than the Delaware and Raritan Canal Commission stream corridor, but has within the township code a latitude for the planning board to provide for a design flexibility to allow for minor intrusions into that stream corridor. And for this application, there's a portion of the detention basin within the stream corridor as well as the access driveway right off of Route 206. And then finally, regarding the design waivers, within the tree mitigation, tree preservation portion of the code, there is a allowance for an economic hardship waiver. That is when the tree mitigation requirement exceeds 1.5% of the site improvement costs. In this case, that would equate to about 150 trees for the site improvement costs. We're proposing 200 trees, but when you count up the trees and the required replacement of trees, that exceeds that number, and we're asking for that economic hardship to be applied for this particular application. And that's on page 6 of 7 in the planner's review memorandum. Under F, under planning comments, just describe the waiver requests. With regards to pedestrian access, we don't envision this type of use or facility to invite or have a need for pedestrian access. And as you know, there's a township code that suggests or requires that any site frontage have sidewalks. We're right on 206 near that tributary to the Royce Brook and the culvert, and knowing full well that whatever we do along the road is eventually, hopefully, going to be changed when the bypass in the middle section of Route 206 is improved as DOT envisions. So we would suggest that the sidewalks not be placed along the frontage of this property and that perhaps a contribution in lieu of the sidewalks along the frontage be made, or perhaps if the township had another place where they needed sidewalks, the applicant could place them there. I discussed already the, and I won't go through all these comments in detail because many of those, and I'll say already, basically both the planner and your board engineer's reviews, we would address each and every one of those comments to their satisfaction. And there are particular ones, albeit few, that I'm discussing as we go through the application. I've already discussed the parking in the front yard and the DOT access being under the jurisdiction of DOT. Let me go on to your engineer's review dated June 2nd, 2015. Mr. White's memorandum has 7 pages. There are no suggested changes or requests for plan modifications that we have an objection to. On page 3 of 7, item 2, there's a suggestion there where the contribution in lieu of the sidewalks being placed along this frontage could be provided. There was a request that we clarify whether there is employee parking. There is no designated employee parking. That could be administered by the operators of the facility. There's no specific designated parking. We don't feel a need for it. There was a request that there's already on the plan on our southerly boundary. You know, our northerly boundary is the stream. Our southerly boundary is our closest residence. That's where the 75-foot buffer is being provided, a landscape buffer, and the preservation of the existing trees. We've also provided, in addition to the landscaping enhancements there and buffering, a fence. It's been suggested that we provide for some gates within that fence so that we can get to the other side of the fence for any potential maintenance needs. We would do that, provide 2 gates along that section of the fence.
Well, it ain't gonna be white. I hope you made that clear, Bill.
Yeah. It's a vinyl white fence, yeah. Did somebody ask that?
Is it solid?
It's a reference to
Am I
our
stealing his
recent
thunder?
previous application.
No, that's okay. We'll get to it. I gotta have some fun tonight.
Okay. I think that really is the substance, and I'll stop at this point and take a breath and answer any questions the board or the public may have as the board chair chooses.
But no, certainly, Mr. Ford. I think I'll go to our professionals first.
Ladies first.
Okay. Marcia?
Well, you said that the comments that you didn't address, you were going to address with the professionals?
Correct.
Now would be that time.
Okay, well, there was a comment, number 3, on,
On page 6 of 7, the bike
Page
rack
6 of
providing a
7,
detail? We'll
right,
do that,
we'll
certainly.
do that.
Yeah.
And the sidewalk connections, I just would like to discuss that a little bit. You say you don't feel that it's needed, but the township has a policy, from what I understand, of designing complete streets, which provides for sidewalks to encourage pedestrian access. And I know in my experience, and I don't know if there's bus along 206 in that area, but many times workers need to come to a site, and if they don't have a sidewalk, it makes it more difficult. So I think that's why that connection was considered important. And I understand the comment about providing a sidewalk along the frontage, and I think there would be a concern to do it knowing that the road is going to be improved, but certainly to go from the building to the front would be useful at this point.
Yeah, we provide a sidewalk around the building for the residents to, I'll say, walk around the building. There's a suggestion to connect that sidewalk to
Well, it won't connect to a sidewalk along 206
Right.
now, but it will in the future. I think that would be important.
Let me look at the... if I'm reading this right, it looks like there is sidewalk that comes up to those front parking spaces, which are gone
Right.
now. Now, could you point out which ones are gone?
Sure. Certainly.
Specifically, or where they're not gone, but I guess relocated?
I'm on? Okay.
Yep.
The front of the building is about 100 feet from the right-of-way of Route 206.
Uh-huh.
What was suggested is to take the parking spaces in that area, which accounts for about 8 spaces, 7 or 8 spaces, and find another place for them. And the other place would be along this left or northerly side of the driveway.
So
These 6 and
Yeah,
maybe 3 on the other side would move.
Okay.
But the sidewalk along the frontage, or right in front of the 6 spaces, would go away. But
Right.
the sidewalk around the building that loops back in and comes along the driveway would stay. I think we're only talking about really probably about 100 feet of sidewalk that would take you down to somewhere in the neighborhood of Route 206, and perhaps maybe a better time to do that would be when there's a sidewalk along Route 206.
And
But that's the
common
board's.
sense. That's common sense.
I don't think the applicant sees it as a need for his operation of the facility, but we certainly understand, the planner's comment in the town's incentives to encourage pedestrian viability. So, no objection either way.
Yeah, so I guess looking at it would be versus what's already planned, if you were to take those parking spaces away and leave that piece of sidewalk, just move it over towards the driveway, it wouldn't be much to bring that to the edge of your property. Now, it would seem to hang in the air, but someday with a redone 206, it would make sense again. That being the point. And,
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's what you...
And obviously, no one wants you to build it along the frontage. That's all going to be changed.
Okay.
That would be silly.
All right?
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
There were some other comments, but they would be for your architect.
Right.
Or,
Item
for the
5 is really for the architect, and I didn't answer item 6 regarding the Medicare eligibility. The applicant, I guess, could answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
And item 7 is the traffic consultant would describe it, but we've already, made it understood that we're at the, I'll say, the directive of NJDOT with our access driveway, and we understand the future conditions.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Marcia. Bill?
Mr. Ford, wasn't this property before this board probably about 2012?
Correct.
And there was an issue with some contamination, a little minor environmental issue?
Yeah, the environmental consultant for the applicant at that time found, as part of, I think, the due diligence for a contract of sale, some issues with the existing house or existing facility, not with the applicant or even this applicant, but the existing conditions. And this applicant is aware of that, and as part of his purchase of the sale or purchase of the property, that'll be cleaned up, addressed. It has to be.
Will that be through an LSRP?
Yes, I think that's really the new standard now, not the
That is correct.
state application or
The NFA?
right. Right. So it'd be the satisfaction of LSRP.
Can the town be copied once the LSRP signs off?
We can provide copies
For a
of
file?
those documents. Yeah.
Thank you. With regard to your detention basin, is there like a wall right near the curb line?
Yes.
And what's the wall made out of?
We envision a modular block wall, but we haven't. It could be a concrete wall. And I understand the comments in your review memo.
Yeah.
We'll address all of them to your satisfaction, including the guided rail or protective device at the top of the wall.
With the segmental block walls, it's very difficult to put a guide rail next to it and get footing to hold, take an impact. A lot of times, you're going to probably most likely find out you're going to have to go with cast-in-place concrete.
Okay. And actually, that comment ties into the relocation of the parking spaces, because that retaining wall is in the area of where some of the parking spaces are, because we're trying to come down to grade at 206, so perhaps even some of that wall will disappear or become lower by that suggestion of the relocation of the parking spaces.
I think that's all I have for now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Eric, anything? Yes?
Nothing.
No? Board members?
I'm just curious.
Steve?
The chairman made a recommendation regarding the sidewalk.
Yes, to bring it to 206 to the property line.
Okay.
And then after that, leave it because the road's going to be changed and
Well,
there's
that was
nothing
my-
to link to yet.
That's my question.
Yeah.
If and when it's done, is that improvement going to be removed due to the oncoming change to the road structure?
Well, no, it's not so much removed, but rather would it be extended at that point?
So
But if they brought it,
it's not superfluous after it's done. It's not going to need to be removed when the
No.
206 is changed.
no. If anything, what you'd hope is that the state would link through their property.
All right, I just want to
You
make
know,
sure.
with it.
I just was trying to, in my head, make sure that we're not building a sidewalk that in 3 years is going to be torn up in pieces.
No, that's why I'm saying only up to their property line.
Okay.
See, I said only up to their property line because the state could tear everything from their property
They're
line
not gonna
out when
take
they
any of the
redo.
frontage from their property.
So there's no point building anything on the state's property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's,
Yeah.
all right, never
That's
mind.
right.
Senior itis.
What, did you want to mention the fence?
I was going to wait for the public to
Architect?
speak up
Oh.
regarding their likes or dislikes as
Okay.
far as the fence is concerned. I'm obviously, there's some neighbors here who probably have
Yeah.
property along here that want to speak up, so I just want to hear what they have to say.
Okay.
But just for the record, I hate white plastic fences. Thank you. Good, all right. But we're going to probably need a fence, so we're going to have to find something.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other board members?
Yeah, Susan likes white fences. She thinks I'm funny.
Anything else from the board? Okay. Open to public? Motion to open to public? Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I hate
Okay.
fences.
Neighbors, come on
Must
up.
be this chair.
It's the low chair.
It's the low chair.
Rich Feldman, 113 Flanders Drive. Gentlemen, thank you, and ladies, thank you for keeping us in mind as you are looking at these things. Overall, we think it's a great usage for the property. We are concerned about the fence, if we can do a different type of fence, if we can blend it in to the environment, that would be excellent. Also, there are some trees that are on the plan that are marked as pines, as standing. They are not standing. They haven't been standing since Sandy. Wanted to know what they're right on the border. Would like to make sure that those are taken away since they're on the border. And also just to try to maintain as much privacy between or distance. I guess it's really privacy from the properties to the facility. The 75-foot boundary is a very nice boundary, so we like that. But as much tall private trees to make the privacy would be wonderful.
So we'll talk about the fence. And as far as, so you're saying that there are some trees that are down that are listed as up,
Yes.
or depicted as up.
I can show you those.
Yeah, yes. Okay. You live there? Go ahead.
Actually,
Existing one on the left.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the current aerial, more or less. I don't know what date that is. That's before or after Sandy.
Yeah, that's before Sandy, because
Yeah.
these trees here,
Yeah.
the majority of them went down
Mr. Feldman?
as dominant.
Mr. Feldman?
Yeah.
The land.
Sorry,
What?
the microphone.
Oh, yeah, no microphone, right. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so these white pines here, there are a couple that are still standing, but the majority of them went down during Sandy, and they are, as I say, 5 of them are just like dominoes, one on top of another. One went to another and then pushed them all down. So they are no longer in existence, and would like to try to have them replaced or by similar types of trees.
Mr. Ford?
Yeah, consulted with the applicant. We would agree to that as a condition, clean up the dead or diseased trees and supplemented with other evergreen trees. And actually, we're proposing a berm beyond that area within the 75-foot buffer with the plantings on top of it to, since it's the plantings at the time of planting are not 20 feet high, so the berm would give us better coverage. And that's beyond the parking area, and you'll see that we've actually, and this is planning details that we've considered in the layout of this application, is that the parking spaces are oriented such that the cars, when they pull in and out of spaces, are not with their headlights into our neighbor's rear yard. They're in an east-west direction instead of north-south, so we're not facing our neighbor. And part of this stream quarter encroachment, the portion of the detention basin, you'll notice that the building is kind of I'll say, a skewed counterclockwise to the property line. That allowed us to provide for a better green area in back of our neighbor that's our closest neighbor with I'll say a uniquely shaped lot with not a great substantial rear yard, and we were cognizant of that and considered it in our layout.
And we do appreciate that.
Right.
And the fence, I think the fence really is probably carryover to part of the discussion on an application on this property 2 or 3 years ago, and I see those white fences around town. This is a 5-foot wide or 5-foot high fence. If the board doesn't want the fence is not for us. I don't think it's a requirement of the ordinance. So we would eliminate the fence or perhaps replace it with something more natural to provide for I'll say a delineation of the property lines in a more natural way, like a split rail fence.
Yeah, or
you can see through it, but it looks
wrought
natural.
iron,
And
or even a different color vinyl, more neutral. Anything. I leave it up to the experts to iron out that. Bill knows my flavor of taste.
I think a fence is very important. For the gates, would those be locked gates?
We would want them locked.
Great. Excellent.
So my question, though, Mr. Feldman, you would still want a sort of more or less opaque fence? I mean, maybe not shining white, but you'd still want it opaque, because split rail would be mostly, not really an opaque solid barrier. What do you think?
You want a solid barrier or like a wrought iron type thing, or?
Well, I mean, they got to speak for themselves. They can come up and speak for themselves. I'm just wondering what you.
Okay. What I would like, there is a lot of wildlife back there that is going to be affected, and we know we're going to lose that. But we'd like to keep it as natural as possible. So a split rail would not work, I don't believe.
You've been turned off.
Oh, but
yeah, the split rail is fine with the applicant. They would prefer not the wrought iron.
No.
We'd rather not have a split rail.
What would you rather have?
You want a solid fence of some sort.
Yeah, I think a solid fence would probably be better.
Well, sure, let's get rid of that.
Then it would be the vinyl in a different color other than white, like a beige.
No, I think they want privacy. They don't want to be able to see through it.
Right, so a different color vinyl, is it?
Well,
is that
I'm just
possible?
saying, each of you can come up, and then you can make a suggestion when you do. So wait till you come up and you say your name and then make your suggestion, and we'll hear what you all have to say.
Okay, there's one other point that I just wanted to make, and that was, if possible, we're taking out 8 parking spaces in this area.
Yeah.
And geez, right behind our pool is the service area with the dumpsters. If those dumpsters could possibly be put into that, where there's 8.
Code doesn't.
No.
Permit it, I don't think.
I don't think the code would allow that.
Okay.
But we'll make sure it's screened as best as
Yes,
possible.
that the dumpster area is screened itself?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
It's also in an enclosure.
Okay, it's an enclosure. Excellent.
Thank you.
Sure. Do you want to come up and make a fence suggestion? Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, don't be shy. Come up and make a fence suggestion if that's all you want to say.
It's democracy at its best. Okay, stop making fun.
Well, with the
Just, you have to say your name first, that's all.
My name is Jeanette Giuliano, and I live in Flanders, right behind the property.
Yeah.
My main concern is that, well, obviously, the white fence is just not going to work. But could we do something that would be more of a natural fence, something that would blend, like, I would say like a wood fence, but something that would blend like wood, so it would look more natural.
Or wood-like.
Yeah, you know how they do
vinyl,
have
wood-like.
that,
Yeah,
they do have
that board on
artificial
board.
materials that look kind of like
Right.
wood. Right.
For me, that would be fine.
I would
My-
prefer not wood because wood will definitely get destroyed over a long period of time and it just doesn't age nicely.
Right, which I understand, but that's what I'm saying, if there's other materials that would blend better with nature, it would be a little more appealing to everybody that's in concern
I
with
think Bill will
with
come
the
up with
area.
that on his own. He's good at that.
He likes white fences.
And the other, there's one other thing that I had listened to also, is like they were saying that for the people that work there, they don't need parking. Well, where are they going to park when they go to work?
No, I gotta be green again. Okay. No, there was a question in one of the review memos whether there's going to be like signed designated only employees park here. And we're not intended to do that. But there is ample on-site parking. The employees will be parking on-site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's that they
yeah.
won't have a separate parking.
Right.
Okay, that was what I was wondering about, how they would get there to work if they didn't have a place to park. Those are my concerns. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the neighbors? No? No? Okay. So the thought with the fence then is solid, but much more natural looking than the great wall on Hamilton Hamilton Road. Work
That
out, you
application,
two?
I'm not familiar with that application, sir.
You don't drive down Hamilton
No,
Road?
I know, no, I
You're
I don't
not
think
taking
I think there might have been
responsibility for it.
another engineer involved in that one. You mean the 8-foot wide wall or 8-foot high wall? Yeah.
The Great Wall of Hills.
I drove by there today and was looking for trees.
Yeah. All right, so you'll work it out with Mr. White to come up with something not horrific? Good.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions on something other than fencing? Okay. Counsel, you can call your next witness.
Mr. Scott Kennel, our traffic consultant.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I had a question about that berm. Should
Oh,
I
the
ask that
berm.
now?
I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. Mike's still here.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Yes.
You mentioned the berm, but the drainage flow seems to go from south to north. Where would the berm be, and would it affect the drainage?
The berm.
I thought the berm was going to be in the south.
Here, I'll show you on the exhibit.
Berm is part of the water retention program. Surface water.
Now I'm not tall enough.
We'll wait for you to grow.
It's right here. It's a small berm just beyond where these parking spaces are, and it's far enough away from the property line so that we can take the drainage that does drain toward it around it, and it's not so long that it makes it difficult to do that.
Yeah, my only concern was the length
Right.
of it.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
so
not
short.
long. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm familiar with what you're saying. Like instead of a white fence, you make the wall of berm.
Yeah.
This is a short berm,
Where
providing
it's
for
closest to the property on that, yeah.
the most sensitive area, we thought.
Yeah, right.
Our closest neighbor. It's not along that whole boundary. It's really in that one isolated area.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's really to provide for better impact of that initial plantings.
Okay? Good. All right. Then we can proceed.
Could you please state your name for the record and your qualifications as a traffic consultant?
Yes, Scott Kennel with McDonough and Ray Associates located at 1431 Lakewood Road, Manasquan. I have over...
Kaz has that program to come off immediately.
Let me try again. Scott Kennel with McDonough and Ray Associates located at 1431 Lakewood Road, Manasquan. I have over 35 years of traffic and transportation planning experience. I've prepared over 500 traffic impact studies. I've testified in over 100 municipalities, including Hillsborough. It's probably been about 10 years since I've been here. One of the projects I worked on was Hillsborough Promenade, where I attended many hearings for that project. I've testified in probably 8 other communities in Somerset County. I've been qualified by the New Jersey Superior Court as a traffic expert on 3 land use matters. And I'm very familiar with the NJDOT access permitting process, having prepared over 300 access applications.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Our office had submitted a traffic report which Bill White's office had reviewed, and that report was is dated March 19, 2015. Unless you want me to go in great detail, Mr. White's review concurred with all our methodology and the conclusions in our report. And with that, as I understand in reviewing the review letters prepared by Marcia Schiffman and Bill White, there was really one, I'll say, traffic issue that hasn't already been addressed by Mike Ford, and that dealt with the access onto 206 and the southbound left turn movement into the site. This type of use, as we have identified in our traffic report, is a low traffic generator compared to other type of commercial uses. We're projecting approximately 16 trips during the morning peak hour and 25 in the afternoon peak hour. I think it's also important to recognize that the majority of the trips are employees who are very familiar where the driveway is and the operation versus a more transient type of commercial use, such as a retail type of development. We're projecting a maximum of 5 left turns during the AM and PM peak hours into the site, and based on our level of service analysis, it was determined that that will operate level service B. I think there's a lot of things to take in consideration as far as the low number of trips, the great sight lines along that section of 206 as you're approaching a driveway, as well as someone making a left turn into the site has good sight lines along 206 as well as Old Somerville Road. Ultimately, the traffic control at that location or permitted movements are going to be dictated by NJDOT. It was stated that the access application was submitted last month. It was early May. We should have comments from them, I expect, within 2 to 3 weeks.
Just for the record, coming out of the facility, is that right turn only?
That'll be left and right turns.
That would be left. How about those left turns? Same. That seems a little more perilous than the left turn in.
We're providing site triangles. There's going to be clearing along the site frontage. The other thing with the development of this site, other than right at the culvert, but south of the culvert along the site frontage, there will be some of the vegetation will be cleared, so it'll be basically daylighting the frontage, so it won't be, I mean, again, if you're pulling out of the driveway today from that residence, the sight lines are limited because of the vegetation. The plans that have been submitted to NJDOT identify areas to be cleared to provide the site distances and sight lines that are required by AASHTO and NJDOT.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Having driven that road for 30 years, the problem I see with this is that 206, especially on southbound, backs up into a queue during rush hour to the point where there will be no visibility for that person trying to make a left. You will not be able to see northbound traffic. And it is even difficult to make the left onto Old Somerville Road without sometimes hoping and a prayer to jump across that road. Number one. So that's the left going in. Now the left coming out with that traffic being backed up the way it is, it'd be virtually impossible for that person to get out safely because the people coming out of Doctor's Way barely can get out to make a left, and let alone without having that sight triangle. So I really feel that under the rush hour conditions, especially in the afternoon time, that is very dangerous at that intersection to make any kind of movement across traffic.
Well, again, that is something that is, will be subject to NJDOT's review, and if you did time restrictions for designated periods, then it becomes an enforcement issue.
Well, that's why I think it's probably, with the jug handle just down the road further south, someone could easily take the jug handle, come back, and make a right into that property. Much safer than trying to jump across it.
They do have that opportunity if they choose. I mean, I sense that as far as the movements coming out, it's generally going to be the employees during the peak hours, and it will be to some regard self-regulated if they feel more comfortable in doing the right turn exiting. They can. Obviously, that is a little more circuitous in making a U-turn because you have to go up through the Triangle Road intersection, make a right on this Falcon, and then continue to make the rights to come back around. It's kind of a circuitous U-turn. In light of when NJDOT does the widening and dualization, there will be actually a reverse jug handle at the Triangle Road intersection.
I would ask a question on jurisdiction, given it's a state highway. What do we have or don't have here, given that it's not a municipal road and it's a state highway?
I would probably caution the board that if they wanted to make a condition relative to left in, left out, that it is going to be subject to DOT, and if DOT says to you, well, I don't think if the board wishes to make that as a condition, I don't think it is against the law to do so, with the understanding that if the state overrules you because it is a state road, then the state is going to have precedence. But if you want the state to understand your feelings on how you want the movement to go, the best situation would probably be a condition to the approval of the application. And let the applicant advise the DOT accordingly, and then it's up to DOT whether they want to accept it, reject it, or modify it.
Gotcha. Yes.
This area has always been a big safety problem for this planning board. We had an application in the 1980s for Lot 4, Block 181, across the triangle where the billboard used to be. It still shows on your drawing, too. And it was a site plan for an office building. We denied it. It was appealed, and it went to the appellate court. And at the appellate court, they upheld based on traffic only. And it's the only site plan in New Jersey that was ever denied and upheld the denial. So we consider this area to be a very safe, how would you say, safety is our most concern. So when you say, oh, a person has a choice of making a left there, you can't get out of Doctor's Way. And that's a straight on. And now you got 2 lanes coming with Old Somerville on this. That's trouble. Of course, the engineer for the other application said there's no problem. So we hired an engineer, said it's the worst curve in the entire state. Because when it goes to the appellate court, it's only based on the record. So I'm putting it on the record that this has already been denied across the street from you based on traffic. And you can't be laissez-faire with the right turn, left turn coming out, because you're not going to be turning out of there.
As I said, I understand your concerns and your experiences. That'll be deferred to NJDOT, and if the board just chooses, we can advise the DOT of the board's concerns, and then they'll weigh that in evaluating the access application that's been submitted.
Maybe you didn't understand what I said. We do have the option of denying the application. We don't have to go to DOT to deny it based on traffic. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, that if you just keep on answering, well, you know, DOT, as far as I'm concerned, you can turn either way. We have one other option, and that is to deny it. So safety is very important to us.
I got to tell you, I don't see how you structure it so that you're making a left there. I can't see.
Talking about
Well, in is problematic enough, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure that there's a, there's an alternative there. But coming out, trying to make left across the old Somerville and the 206 traffic, from a safety standpoint, it's a good thing if we did that the rescue squad's not too far away, because they'll be at that site a lot.
Yeah. Bill?
When you have modeling, that doesn't always mimic real life.
Yeah.
It's theoretical. So your experience trumps modeling. Your personal experience, you guys have been here for many years. You've seen how the town's growing, how the traffic's increasing, and what's happening in specific hot areas, and this is being a hot area. And that's the reason for the bypass.
That's a scary hot area.
Yeah.
I've tried to do, Doctor's Way. I mean, I've been in there too.
You just make the
I just make the right. I go home the other way.
Yeah. If the board wants to
Yeah.
right in, right out. Well, that's going to be a future condition anyway, so you might as well get used to it now.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to have right in, right out anyway, so why
At
are
some
we
point in
even,
time.
Do it now.
why are we even moving down this way, I mean, common sense dictates that in the near or far future, you're gonna have right in, right out, no matter what. We all know that. Eventually, it will get built, and eventually, it won't allow you to make the left, so let's just get away with dime and not even talk about it anymore.
I think
The applicant doesn't have a problem with
Right in, right out?
restricting
Right in,
with
right out?
signage.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
Okay.
I agree with, I think that, but again, it's a jurisdictional issue, but.
Well, no, we
yeah.
understand that the state could, but from our point of view, we can't
It's a no-brainer.
we can't approve this without it being right in, right out. Now, the state, we understand, can trump whatever we do, but we're not going to be the ones who do it. They'll
It's one
have
of-
to be.
It's one of the few things it says in the charter, or chapter, whatever, the rules about being a planning board member is
Mike.
health.
Health, safety, welfare, and morals.
They
They added morals in the last couple of years.
Oh, they
What the
did?
hell are we doing here?
No,
But
stop.
seriously.
Unfortunately, it's a problem for
Yeah.
every property on
That's the one
206.
area
Well,
we have
it
to be
is,
really
You know?
and that's, I mean, yes, it's the nature of the beast, and it's getting to be a worse beast all the time.
but some
And
spots
that,
are more
that
prevalent
curve
than
is a
others, yes.
particularly horrific part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not just you're on 206, you're right there, and that's crazy. That's why I come out of Doctor's Way, I make a right, I don't even bother. It's nuts.
Yeah. We have no
So,
problem with that condition to be
okay.
imposed.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, we're good.
All right.
Good. Way to go, Sean.
Anything, well, yes, thanks for starting it off. Anything else, Bill?
Comments, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else from the board? No? Okay. Anything else from you?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Public.
And
Next?
if they want to open to the public.
Huh? Oh, public, right. Public have anything for the traffic consultant? I think we addressed the big thing, but, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
No, that someone does.
Coming up.
That'll be on green.
Bill Trethaway, 1274 Millstone River Road, Hillsborough. Sir, would it be possible to design the exit so that the right-hand exit lane did a sweep towards the north, so it would not be possible to make a left turn coming out of there?
There is, we could do that. The issue I guess we have is that the proximity to the stream corridor and the wetlands, and we've got it as far north as we can. If we were to provide what you're suggesting and to be able to accommodate trucks, we'd have to shift that driveway probably 50 feet closer to Somerville Road, Old Somerville Road. Not to say it can't be done, but then again, I think you want to provide as much separation from Old Somerville Road and to the driveway. So that's why we had suggested by signage prohibiting left turns.
If the board were to give you a waiver into a little bit more ingress into the stream?
We're not allowed to do
corridor?
that.
Can't do that.
You can't do that for the?
No, we can't do that.
Okay. I don't know the class of stream. All right. Thank you.
could be addressed with painting and that kind of thing too, with
Yeah.
triangling.
You also
We can, but, you know, a lot of times you'll use a physical island.
Right.
But because we're also got to service
for trucks,
delivery vehicles and
Right.
things of that nature.
You got to have a right turn in too, and so you
we
make
could,
the
we could put
big
some
thing.
painting down though.
Yeah.
rather
We
than
can
highlight,
try.
at
We can
least.
try to enlarge the curb returns a little bit more, and then provide some striping to,
Yeah.
again, encourage and just to enforce that right in, right out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Painting, that'd be good. Okay.
So the applicant would agree to striping and signage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our last witness for the evening, unless there's any questions for the developer, is Stephen Humphreys, who's our architect.
Yeah, we do have the one question for the owner about the Medicare beds, but we'll get to that. I bring your architect up. That's fine. Right, Marcia, that you had that question here.
Is this on? My name is Stephen Humphreys. I'm from EGA Architects. We're out of Newburyport, Massachusetts. I've been with the firm for 18 years. The firm has been designing senior housing for 46 years, and that's all we do. We specialize in senior housing.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Just want to talk about the building a little bit before I get to the comments that were in the Mazur report, just so you understand the way the building's laid out.
Mr. Humphreys, just for the purpose of the record, you're a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey?
I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Hampshire. The person that's going to stamp the drawings is licensed in New Jersey.
Is that acceptable to you?
You tell me if that's legal. I mean, I don't.
It's permitted.
Okay.
As long as the drawings are certified by a New Jersey architect, isn't that fine?
And it has to be pretty building.
And he's from New Hampshire, so they know pretty.
Okay, practical.
Yeah, you said it's permitted, therefore, please proceed. Thank you.
Just for the record, the CEO in our firm, Jerry Menke, signs and stamps all the drawings, and he's licensed in multiple states. He does that mostly for insurance purposes. We have several registered architects on the firm from different states.
Mr. Humphreys, just want to make sure for the purpose of the record.
Okay. I'm going to go through the exhibits. On the far left is Exhibit 1, which is the first floor plan.
That's A4 for the record?
A4. The next exhibit in the middle is A5, which is the second floor plan. And the final exhibit on the right is an exterior rendering of the front of the building. For reference, I've got the building oriented the same way as the site plan, so you can see what you're looking at. You enter the site from the west, and as you drive up on the north side of the building, the main entry is, I need to get closer to the plans.
Marcia, could we have the administrator maybe buy a new one or something?
Let's see if this works any better.
Oh, CAD. It's CAD.
Okay.
The
So this is the
CADs?
first floor plan.
You have to buy
You
it.
enter from the west, then you come up into the entry drive. The building is, I'm just going to repeat, but the building is 2 stories, it's 58 units. It has assisted living and memory care. As you go into the main entry, there's a covered walkway, and you enter into basically the administration area, the common areas. There's a commercial kitchen. This is kind of the core of the building, where all the services happen. There's several outdoor spaces off the core. There's a patio in the back. There's a patio down onto the west side for the residents. On the bottom of the plan are the assisted living apartments. On the top of the plan is the memory care wing. This is a secure wing. It's separated from the rest of the building, but it has its own dining areas and living room, has a staff area, and there's actually 13 rooms in there. 24 beds.
Hold it down.
Just hold it.
Hold down the button. Hold it down until the green light comes on. Hold it down.
There you go. Is it on? Okay. The second floor plan, which is the middle exhibit, is generally all assisted living apartments. There is a rehab room in the center. There's the 4 required egress stairs, and there's 1 elevator in the center. There were 4 comments on the report I just want to address quickly through the rendering. This is a view, if you're standing, well, roughly about here, and you're looking off to the north. Looking off to the south, I should say. Here's the main entry with the covered walkway. There's a porch along the front.
Mr. Humphreys, you think it'd be easier if you can do it sitting at the table? Oh, yeah.
Okay. So again, 2-story building, very residential in nature. We're using hip roofs, traditional residential siding, so it's going to be vinyl siding. There's a darker color at the base. The trim will be white. The siding in the second floor is going to be shingles, which will be a lighter color. I do have another exhibit that's on the floor that has the actual samples of the siding colors, the asphalt roof shingles, and the trim for reference. Thank you, Michael. Okay, so if you're looking at that board, the top sample is the asphalt roof shingle, which is a weathered wood color. The shingle below that is a vinyl siding shingle. It has a 7-inch exposure. The white piece below that, it represents the trim. So we're using white trim around all the windows, the lintels, the columns. And then the bottom piece is the lap siding, which goes from just below the second floor windows down to the ground floor. And I think that's it, unless anyone's got any questions.
Marcia? No, we're gonna have Marcia go first.
I was just going to ask about the egress, because it's unlocked.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marcia.
The township has what's called architectural site design guidelines.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's what we looked at, and you provided the building materials. Thank you for that. There was one question we had about the window treatment, whether it could be augmented and made a stronger element on the facade. The ASD guidelines talk about a defined lintel facade frame, drip molding, some additional elements to add variety to the facade treatment. Is that something you
We
would
do have
consider?
trim around all the windows. It's a 3.5-inch flat band of trim that goes across the lintel and down the sides. And we also carry that trim horizontally between the bottom of the second floor windows and the lower level. And then we try to incorporate that trim with the grills, the HVAC grills that are below that with a panel. So we're trying to incorporate that into the architecture.
Well, that was another question we had about the utility boxes that are beneath each window. Is there some other ways of designing it so that it is eliminated and there's a way of addressing the air conditioning and heating in another manner without breaking up the facade like that? I know I've seen a number of buildings that don't have that on the facade treatment. Is that something you'd consider?
The heating system and cooling system, let me explain what those are. Those are PTACs, which are packaged terminal air conditioning units. They were selected for the flexibility that when you have residents in this building, there's going to be some that are going to be hot and some going to be cold. And with this type of system, you can always provide heating and cooling in different areas, and even within the different rooms, because they're all shared rooms. It's also an economic decision to use those as well.
So that's the only solution you have to eliminating those utility boxes?
I can't get rid of the grills. We need the grill for the fresh air intake. And if I didn't have those, we'd have some pretty large rooftop units and substantial ductwork going into the building to provide the fresh air.
Which would be hidden under the roof?
Yes.
So it's not something that you'd consider?
I don't think so.
I just brought it up because it is an element on the architecture that is discussed as part of what you're supposed to look at when you look at buildings being constructed in the ASD zone along 206.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Marcia?
That was the only, oh, well, there was some discrepancies that we picked up about the patio located outside the dining area.
Yeah, the patio that's shown on this floor plan, we'll actually have to pull it back because there's an emergency access road that goes back there. On the back behind the dining room. Pull back towards the building.
We'll make the two plans consistent.
Yes.
I think that's what we're looking at.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bill? Nothing? Okay. Board members?
I just asked about the security access to the front of the building.
Steve?
Oh, I'm sorry. Security access, is there going to be some kind of automatic, I mean, are they just people can walk in and out, or is there going to be intercom-related, intercom security, considering the...
No, we did already.
He's already good, yeah.
Go ahead.
We did all four.
The building is open during the day. The staff in the building 24 hours a day. The building is actually locked at night, and access to the front door, if somebody wants to come in through the front door, they have to, there's a bell outside and a full intercom system through the entire building.
All right, just for the record. Thank you.
Can I, are those, is that design, is that a, have you built other ones, or is that a fairly standard design, or is that something unique to?
This is a building that we had designed to be replicated. There are two of them currently existing up in Massachusetts. This will be the third, and there's two additional going up.
So it's the first in New Jersey that you do?
It's the first, this type of building in New Jersey, yes.
John? Yeah.
Is there emergency services, on-site generators or something to that effect, for instance, say, care facility?
There is emergency generators on site.
And is it enough for the power of the whole system, or just for the elevator?
No, it's for life safety. So it's going to power lights, it's going to power some of the elevator, a little bit of the kitchen.
And where are those units located?
On the south side.
So that's right next to the trash enclosure?
Right next to the neighbors. They left.
No, there's the big buffer between them. Yeah.
And again, it's just an emergency generator.
So white fence.
So, just going back, with the standard design that you've already done, do the other locations have that same heating and cooling approach? Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the, no? From the public on the site design? Not the site design, the building design, as well as the site design? No? Okay.
Our last witness is Mr. Glenn Kaplan. He's the developer.
I think for the purpose of the record, Mr. Chairman, so Mr. Kaplan can at least restate on the record what he previously stated minimally.
Oh, okay. Just so you do know, this is a building that has been replicated. The other two buildings look identical, right down to the last detail. There are two of them standing currently up in Massachusetts, and there's three more that are actually going in the ground this year. One in New Jersey and then two in other states.
Can you address the comment from the planner regarding, technically, I believe it's Medicaid eligible affordable beds? Is that facility Medicaid anticipating?
The state of New Jersey requires that we have a minimum of 10% Medicaid eligible beds.
Yeah, I know. So is that what you'll have?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on the?
Could I ask
Yes,
him a
of course.
question? We are preparing an affordable housing plan in the township, and one of the things we would need from you is to fill out a form about the facility and the ownership and the licensure requirements. I'm assuming you've gone through
Not a
the
problem.
state?
Not a problem.
So you would provide that?
We actually have 5 other facilities in New Jersey.
Thank you.
And we would provide any additional documents that the board requests
Thank you.
to fulfill any the round 3 co-obligation.
Any other questions from the board? From the audience? Okay, thank you.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you for the board's consideration in this application.
I just have one more, and I think it's for the architect. I'm assuming there's no issue with external lighting that would affect the surrounding neighbors? Everything's pretty...
Yeah.
We need the architect into that.
Yeah, we provided a site lighting plan that shows there's no spillage onto the neighbors. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. What's your pleasure?
I think that that property has been underdeveloped for a long time. It's an eyesore. I think this is a nice, clean use for the property, especially the fact that it's a low traffic, as we know, with the traffic coming in and out of that area, so to be minimal visitation, but addressing the traffic concerns that they agreed to do, I think it's a nice application.
And a good rate.
And a good rateable.
Anything else? Is there a motion then for,
I make a motion to approve this motion with the amended restrictions that we placed and all agreements prior to and post for our engineers and professionals.
With the understanding that as it relates to the DOT access issues, it is still ultimately
Subject.
up to the state.
Yes.
As to the right in, right out, and the striping therein.
okay, is there a second?
Would you have to wait to do the resolution till after DOT? Okay.
It'll be a condition with the understanding that ultimately will be DOT's call, because they're not going to be able to construct until DOT grants the access permit.
Right.
I'll second it since Steve couldn't get around to that.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
Dr. Maruli.
Yes.
Mr. Merninger.
Yes.
Mr. Peason.
Yes.
Mr. Lufani.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor.
Yeah, I'd like to echo the comments. I think it's a very nice use of the property, so yes, I'm
Thank
good.
you. Chairman Dr. Cerisi.
Yes, and thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
You have some correspondence that you can look at. Our next meeting is next week, June 11th, a regular meeting. And just to bear in mind, we will have another meeting on June 25th.
There will be there are 2 applications, folks, next week.
Yes.
I will put the board on notice that there has been a Oprah request on the Pearson Properties, application.
Okay.
And which ones?
The what?
The asphalt plant. The asphalt
Okay.
plant conversion to concrete, there
All
has
right.
been a...
All right. Okay.
Kismek will not be heard until sometime in September.
Right, which we were talking about before. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.